are now tuned into the Fathers Matter 2 podcast, where we discuss family, careers, community, health, and all the other stuff you just might not talk about in the barbershop. Sponsored by Port Royal Patties and Father Figure Children and Family Services, with your host, David Mullings. Fathers Matter Too.
Right, so we're here and another guest in my kitchen. I've got to say a welcome and thank you for coming. Marcus Gayle, how are you doing today, sir?
Thank you for inviting me. You've got a lovely kitchen.
Thank you very much.
Some good props as well.
Very little to do with me, all about my wife, so I won't take any props for it. But thanks for coming, and I guess maybe it feels a little bit like home from home in a way.
Yeah, I think that's a good feeling as well.
Yeah.
It's more relaxed, comfortable.
And also being the area that you went to school in,
I
grew up in.
Around Shepherd's Bush, went to school. Everything started in Shepherd's Bush for me, so home from home.
Right, well thank you for coming, and for those who are not watching us and just listening, we say welcome along, and we say a shout goes out to our sponsors, Port Royal Patties, who are giving delicious patties. They've got a new big up jerk chicken, spicy beef, and also spicy vegan with Incona pepper in. So check out the new patties by Port Royal, our sponsors.
Well, I will, for sure.
And also Father Figure Children and Family Services, which you can check out on the web at fatherfigure.org.uk. So let's get into it, Marcus. Ex-professional footballer, international too, and we'll speak a bit more about that. You played for quite a few clubs. Not loads. I say quite a few. I think I've seen guys play for more actually, but you've done a few. Four main ones.
Professional, serious clubs.
Yeah.
And then towards the end, ventured into non-league for the last 2 years. So I ended up playing for Aldershot and AFC Wimbledon in the latter 2 years. Yeah. But before it was Brentford, Wimbledon, Glasgow Rangers for a short spell, and then back down south to Watford. For sort of major clubs in that regard.
And which one would you consider the one where you probably had most success?
People will know me more for playing for Wimbledon. Had 6 years playing Premier League football for them. 6 good years. We ruffled a few feathers. Caused a few upsets, which was part of the plan as well. But really enjoyed the time there. But the start of the career, the foundation work was all done at Brentford. Yeah, and
did you get into Brentford from youth? Because obviously Brentford's not too far from where you grew up. Is that how it worked, or was it actually not necessarily that?
I was playing just regular Sunday league football. I probably started only playing 11-a-side football from about the age of 12. Before that, I was across the road at the all-weather pitch by QPR on a Friday night, just sharpening my skills as you do, keeping out of trouble as you do. And a scout came from way out from west of London because he heard of our team, he heard about myself, and he invited us to go and try out for his squad. I got in, had a very good first year. I think I got like 30 goals from left wing, and then more or less the same the second year. And Brentford were watching our games as well. That's how I kind of got scouted at 13, 14 when I got into Brentford.
Were you playing striker at that time as well?
No, left wing.
Left wing? You just said that. So hold on a minute. But you spent most of your career playing as a striker and a defender?
Most of the career was a left winger.
Okay.
I only had maybe 3 or 4 years as a striker.
Okay.
And then I went to the back.
Right. How was that chance?
I loved the transition.
Right.
Because what it helped me to do was the knowledge of being a centre forward. You're under a lot of pressure to get hold of the ball and pick up pass and all that. And to try and do well at that. So I just transferred that knowledge into the centre back position. So instead of just kicking the ball out because you're under a little bit of pressure, I was able to take the ball under pressure, which annoyed the centre forward, and then I would be able to either go past him or just pass it simply around him.
Yeah.
So that wound them up, but I quite enjoyed that. So that was a good transition. I really enjoyed that period. I think I was about 31 at that time of that transition. So.
And that, I would imagine that extended your career a bit.
Yeah, it did.
Being able to play.
It did.
At the back.
It did. I saw the game from a different angle, different perspective. Really enjoyed my time. I felt like a kid. I felt like I was 16 again, really.
So, tell me a bit about your growing up. Obviously, you grew up in West London.
Yeah.
Who did you grow up with?
I grew up with my mum, just single parent for probably about 5 or 6 years. Grew up with my stepfather as well in that period from, as I said, 5 or 6 years upwards. We had my sister in there as well. Just got one sister with my mum, but on my dad's side there is a numerous amount
of siblings.
Jamaican man, funny guy, lovable guy, a typical character in West London. I'm sure a lot of people would know him as well. So growing up, it was a good upbringing. My stepfather showed me a lot of things, like life skills. And he took me under his wing as if I was his son. And he used to say on occasion that, I wish he was mine. Because he can just see like how I was growing and stuff was in the right way. We wasn't obviously financially blessed or anything. Everything was hard and a struggle at times, but he endorsed certain life skills that I still carry till today. And my mum was there. She, my parents had me young. I'm the fruit of teenage parents. They were very young when they had me. My mum was working from the minute she had me. She was out working. So it was tough on her, I expect, because I probably took her childhood away in that aspect. So she had to work. So for me, it was like learn as much. I was quite independent from a young age, in terms of looking after myself after coming home from school, making a little snack or something until my mum got home. And that was just normal. That was just normal for me.
So your stepfather. He was more your father figure. Throughout your life. And at what stage did you actually have a relationship with your natural born dad? And when did that happen? Was it?
I knew who my dad was.
All the time.
That's the thing.
You always knew who. Okay.
The thing is, I only saw him maybe 2 or 3 times a year. Growing up to maybe 15, maybe 16. So when it started to get a bit more regular, I was already forming my values
on life, which you had been informed more so from your stepfather.
So I made a conscious decision that at 16 I don't need him. I said I'm fine. I can continue this journey of life, navigate on my own strength. Most of the time. But I remember making that conscious decision. Because growing up, it was weird. It might sound weird, but I never used the word dad growing up. Because I had a stepdad.
And you called him by his name.
Dad, but I used to communicate to him going around the word dad. So I would say, someone's just rung for you or whatever. I wouldn't say dad, someone's just rung for you.
Someone just rang for you.
So I grew up not using that word. And then when I was about 16, I started using that word, but to my dad. So it was a long period of just not using that word. Again, it kind of impacted me in that way, with just like the language and the vocabulary that you use. But every child should be able to use the word dad. I think one of the big impacts, even to now, is I don't have any experience of. This might sound weird, but I don't have no experience of waking up in my house or any house with my dad, my real dad. So I've never had that experience of saying good morning dad or good night dad. I've never had it. So all these things was shaping and forming my life until it became I was going to be a father for myself. So I knew exactly what I didn't want. being a son. So I took that and said to my kids, I'm going to give you what I didn't have.
Right.
And
we'll definitely touch on that a bit more. So in terms of your football, you got into football at what age? When did you know you wanted to be a professional footballer?
From my nappy.
So as long as you remember.
Not the Pampers.
The wrap-up one that used to get pinned on.
It's like a towel with the pin, and you're like, okay, take time with that pin. I had one of those.
From as early as you can remember, you wanted to play football.
I think the story from my granddad was in Roxwell Road.
Yeah.
He was taking down one of them old school lamps from the hall. So he put that down to change a light bulb, and he said he saw this little 2-year-old just take some steps back and went and
strike the ball.
Strike what I thought was the ball.
But what the object that fell.
From what I hear is that we need to get that boy a ball because he's not breaking up my things in the house.
Right.
So I was given a ball, and that just became my best friend and became everything.
Yeah.
At that young age.
So you were supported by your family to pursue football, or would you say that? Because I asked that question because I mean I only played at school level. My claim to fame is, I started secondary in awful football. I started secondary at school a goalkeeper, in fact, and by I think it would have been third year for us, not which they would call year 9 now.
Well, we're with the old
exactly.
Sort of
so by third year, I was made captain of the team playing at centre back. And that was just purely, I had a games teacher who apparently played for Charlton City, and he was a really good games teacher,
right.
and I just really liked football, so all my mates were in the team, and I continually just went to practice and played football at break time all the time, and I actually got better. My only claim to fame is that I did a QPR football school for the week, and I got player of the week. that was the closest I got to it.
That's good.
And but I say that because I remember having football matches, school matches, and we had about 2 or 3 white boys on our team. And on a Saturday when we'd play, the only parents that would turn up would be the parents of those white boys. Most of our parents didn't want us to play football. They weren't trying to push us. They wanted us to more get an education because of the old, we run and dance and whatever.
Certain attributes.
Yeah, and so I know for me, my parents weren't interested in me playing football, and so I'm interested in knowing what was it like for you. Did you get that encouragement, or did you have to kind of really take it?
I was, as I said, I was quite independent, so I didn't need reminding about football.
Yeah,
I cleaned my own boots, I packed my own kit. I was destined to go down that route. My mum didn't really get into my football career until I was about 15.
Right.
So there weren't sort of any interest in that at all. She knew I would do anything to play football. If I was late from getting home, she wouldn't be worried too much.
She knew.
She would just look at one of the parks or whatever, and she knew I would be there.
Right.
She would give me that warning. She said, "Don't do that again. Next time I'm coming with whatever." So I'll be like, I don't want to see my mum turn up at the football pitch.
Yeah.
So, but she took an interest at 15 when I asked her to come to Brentford. We used the stadium for a cup final for my Sunday team, and I just begged her for weeks, gave her a lot of opportunity to prepare to come, and she finally did. And I remember her saying to me after the game that I can see why you're into this.
Yeah.
I goes, what do you mean? She goes, sitting up in that stand, I can feel the buzz of the other fans.
Yeah.
When you got the ball, they was like, yeah, go on, Marcus. Yeah. She felt the buzz. Yeah. And that's what made her get hooked on it, is that was important. But prior to that, I was just play my matches, make my own way to games and stuff.
Yeah.
Or hook up with the footballing group.
Yeah.
But it was just an individual approach that I had. I didn't need. Well, I say I didn't need it. Who knows how good I would have been if I had.
If you had actually got a bit more support, yeah.
Because there was a lot of doubt as well, and I had to keep reinforcing to myself, I am good enough, even though there was arrows of doubts coming at me. But what I would say is that the Shepherd's Bush community, because I used to play football for a community club called Simba.
Yes. Yeah.
So I was in there from the birth of it, really.
Right.
So once they had football matches, I used to study the first team. I used to watch all them guys. There was a time at Ravenscourt Park when I was just sitting as a kid, just watching, and one of the teams was uneven. So he goes, "Yeah, Mum, kick that way. I was like, yes.
Couldn't wait for that.
I'm off the bench.
Yeah.
So I came on, I went past one guy, I put in a cross, and everyone was like, oh, wait, this boy's all right, you know. So the following week now, instead of just sitting on the sidelines, they involved me straight away. But these guys were like 15 years older than me. Wow. So I was limping home, but loving it at the same time.
Yeah.
So it was that group that kind of showed the support.
Yeah, and helped you
it
develop.
It wasn't just the household, it was the community that supported my sort of development in Shepherd's Bush.
Yeah.
Is that they knew if they saw me on the road, it's like, you going football or you coming from football?
One or the other, and if it's not,
before I get home, my mum would have found out anyway.
Yeah, and that was before mobile phones.
Yeah, they would have just rung up and said, Mark's getting up to some foolishness or whatever. But so they kept their eyes on me, and they knew that was what he was designed to do. So I'll always say that the community supported me more.
So at under 17s, you played for England, right? You played a game for England. Is that correct?
Yeah. There was Alan Shearer in that squad. David James was in that squad. The player for me was a guy called Rod Thomas. I'm still in touch with him now. He was the player of that tournament out in Switzerland. He started his career at Watford, so John Barnes was left wing, and then my mate Rod Thomas was right wing at 17, playing first division football, because he just had all that ability.
Right.
He had so much going for him, but a loss of direction, a party lifestyle as well, but we was all into it. But I could, if I partied and I did dabble in it before games and that, it would be seen on the pitch. But Rod,
he could get away with it.
He would get away with it because he had more than what I had.
Right. So then he did it more.
So he done it more and got caught out. Whereas the day when I felt bad, it was I think Brentford played Reading, and I thought I was going to be sub. And the man said, number 11, Marcus Gayle. No.
Oh God.
I said, I'm still shaking off last night or early this morning's vibe. So I got through that match. I think I played like 60 minutes, came off to a good round of applause, played well. And I said, right, that's it. Never doing that again. Not taking what I'm working for granted ever again. And I stopped. And just dedicated myself even harder to achieve my dream.
So you play for England at under 17s level, and something I didn't know is that well, what I do know is you ended up in your senior career representing Jamaica. And what I didn't know is that actually there was a bit of politics around that.
There's always politics.
Yeah, and I know that it happens still now that you can play for a team at a youth level and then play for another team. So that there's nothing too familiar with that. But what I didn't know is that actually there was something contractually in the contract you had with Wimbledon, or so they say, that meant that there was what's the word? There was some resistance to you actually playing for Jamaica, because you had made that decision that actually you wanted to play for Jamaica. There was some resistance.
Yeah, it was quirky. This was like one of my first seasons up front, so I was doing quite well. Yeah. I think the previous year I was top scorer with 13, and then there was rumours because Glenn Hoddle was in charge of the England squad, and there was talk that one of his scouts, a guy called Ted Buxton, he was quite often seen at the Wimbledon matches. Right. And then there was filtering it back that they was looking at myself, maybe Robbie Earl, to like get a call up. And I was like, that's nice. So the club have heard the same things as well. So when it came to my negotiations in signing, they inserted that, we want to reflect that sort of speculation by saying if you play for England, you'll get X amount and the club will get X amount. Right. So it was like a financial thing. Right. So I was in my head, I'm like, really? Because at the time there's some top strikers there. Because I'm a novice striker at this moment in time compared to Robbie Fowler, Ferdinand and all these guys. Not that I doubt my own ability, but you've got well-established centre forwards there. Yeah. You've got people like Andy Cole that will score 1 million goals and he's hardly getting a sniff. And I'm not like a renowned goal scorer like them guys. So I took a trip in '97 out to Jamaica. The federation paid for me to come out to try and woo me in signing. As soon as I got there, I said, I want this. I want the patty on the table. I was like, yeah, I want some of this. Because I going to the National Stadium and feeling that buzz and the vibe, I was like, why would I not want this?
Yeah.
I goes, the feeling and the love that you're receiving, I was like, you'd be crazy not to want this. And I said to him straight away, yeah, I want in. But however, this has been inserted in my contract. So they said, look, once you have a Jamaican passport,
you're eligible.
You can't. So that's what I did. Went off my own back, didn't tell the club. I just said, I've got my Jamaican passport. And from that moment, they were fuming. But I looked at it as, well, you're trying to say I don't have no Jamaican or Barbadian heritage.
Yeah.
Like, they're irrelevant.
Yeah.
And I was like, I can't have that. Because I have a father out there.
Yeah.
Yep, I hardly see him, but he's still my father. So that's why I went down that road. And I made my debut February 3rd, 98. It was against Brazil. Yeah. Which was mad. That experience was crazy because we played it in Miami.
Yeah.
So I think there was a crowd of 45,000. There must have been about 43,000 Jamaicans in there. I don't know how they. But the national anthem came out and there was goosebumps and it was like that empowered the result.
Yeah, because what was the result in that game?
It was 0-0.
You're right. I think
they had
I
Mario up front.
Yeah,
they had Edmundo.
That in itself was a victory.
So we was like, wow, that was powerful.
And off the back of that, you then go to the World Cup in France.
Yeah. So there was a bit of, I say, not animosity, but a bit of, not distance, but there was something because I've come after the qualification. People thought, now they're qualified, now you're jumping on. I was like, hold on. My journey started in June 97
when you were doing
when
your
I went
passport,
over there and I said I want this for me to get in the passport later on in that year. I think it was November 97
and clearly the federation were thinking about the World Cup when they asked you to do that anyway. Surely
they didn't really support me in that cause with my journey. They didn't put that out there to the media. They just let the public
make up their own mind
what they that didn't help with my integration. So I had to kind of work hard and prove that I am of right quality to help this World Cup. Because at the end of the day, that I was out of the squad. I was the prominent striker out of the whole squad with the status Premier League. Right. So I didn't feel that I needed to overly prove myself because it's been written and it's been seen for a few years anyway. So get in there, integrate, and we all got on really well, despite the reports. Yeah, we got on so well. We was talking or telling stories, and we're 4,000 miles apart, but there were similarities about upbringing and this and that. Yeah. If you're in trouble with your parents, what would happen and all of that. So that kind of helped break down the barriers. Yeah. Which was great. So had a brilliant time.
Okay. And what would you class as your biggest goal in your career?
Biggest goal. I think one of the most important was the Man United goal in the FA Cup.
That's what I've got in my notes. Was it was it the fourth round or the semi-final? Fourth round.
Fourth round.
Yeah.
Replay. Cantona's last FA Cup match.
Fourth round replay as well.
Yeah. So I got the header.
Yeah, we'll play that on VT for those watching.
And here's Gayle!
But the game before at Old Trafford, I think it was the first part of the cup match. Yeah. Where I've controlled this ball from a long pass, and there's this arrow, this shot destined for the top corner, and Schmeichel just gets his fingertip, pushes it onto the crossbar, and we get the corner, and we score from the corner.
Okay.
So I was like, after that, I walked up, I goes, it costed me money, you know, because my contract, I was now getting some money per goal. So I was like, to score your goal of your dreams at the Theatre of Dreams, and this guy's just stopped it. I wasn't happy.
Fingertip.
So I was like, when that cross came in the second game, I closed my eyes on it. I said, I've got to go through him. I'm going to head this as hard as I can.
No matter what.
So on contact, I just closed my eyes, bam! Open my eyes, and he's rolled up in the corner, the ball's in the net, crowd are going mad, people are jumping on me, so I got what I wanted in the end, but it would have been brilliant to score that goal at Old Trafford. But
I'm sure that would have definitely, and I would have enjoyed it as a Liverpool fan for sure.
I've scored against Liverpool as well, not upset. But
where was that? What game was that?
I scored at Sellers Park. I think it was the first game of the season. I think it was 98. Start of 98. 1-1. I think Michael Owen scored. And then I scored from a 1.5 step run up for a free kick, like winning off the bar.
Okay.
You can.
We'll see if we get them on the old VT.
Premier League don't really talk about those goals because it's Wimbledon, a small club. Yeah. It hasn't got that elite status. Yeah. And I find that in football is that you get more respect if you play for one of the big clubs. You can live off that forever. Yeah. But when you play for like a small club like Wimbledon, it doesn't come so easy. You don't get that sort of reflection in media. It's like, oh, they was lucky. But at this time, Wimbledon was like a team that we had a 7-match winning streak that the Premier League don't talk about. Right. A small club. So it's like the equivalent of Bournemouth or Burnley winning 7.
It's almost half the results you need to stay up. Literally, isn't it?
We went on 7 games and we went to Middlesbrough in the 8th game and drew it when we should have won it. And that would have been the Premier League record at the time, but no one ever talks about that. Yeah. I think that Christmas we was, I think, 4th with a game in hand. Wow. 4th with a game in hand.
Yeah, that's big for Wimbledon, definitely.
It doesn't get spoken about or reflected in the Premier League years. We're always the whipping boys. If you've watched the programmes carefully, we're always the ones that are against a goal of a season contender, but they never show our best goals. It's like they want to hide that sort of history of the club and the players alike.
Okay, well, thank you. We're going to take a break. If you've just listening in or locked on, then we're talking to Marcus Gayle, ex-Premiership and Jamaican international. We're gonna show a few of our sponsors' messages, or you can listen to a couple of our sponsors' messages, and we'll be back in a short while. Thank you.
Have you been wrongfully denied access to your child and don't know what to do or who to talk to? On average, family solicitors charge £250 per hour. However, at Father Figure Children and Family Services, we offer free consultation and a service with a real personal feel at just a fraction of that price. We provide telephone meetings, complete paperwork, accompany you to court, negotiate with the respondent's solicitor, but what makes us really stand out is the coaching and support we provide to our clients. Visit www.fatherfigure.org.uk and book yourself a free consultation now.
Right, so welcome back. It's your host, David Mullings, here with Marcus Gayle, ex-Premiership and international footballer. Again, thanks for coming and taking part in our podcast today, Marcus. We are going to move on to talking a bit more about you as a father. You are a father, right?
Yep.
And how many children do you have?
3 altogether.
3 children. And when did you become a father for the first time?
I was 27.
27. So that's a decent age.
Yeah, she's a decent age now. She's 21 this year.
Cool.
She was born just before World Cup training took place. So I was...
Okay, just before... So 97, 98?
98. She was born May 98. And I was in World Cup training from middle of May.
Where did you do training? Where did you train?
We trained in Jamaica.
In Jamaica. So she was
she was here, and I was gone. I was gone for like 7 weeks. So I had a week with her.
Oh, okay.
To bond, and then I was gone. 7 weeks. I come back, child's in my hand. She's looking at me like, "Who are you?" And I'm like, the girl's not giving me no smile, no warmth, just straight face. So I'm like, this ain't working. So the whole day was like that.
Yeah. And do you think you were ready to be a father at 27? Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a good age.
My mentality was, through my upbringing, was I want stability, I want structure. For me to bring any life into this world, that's what they're gonna have. They need stability, structure. I was married at the time. I always said I want my kids in wedlock, right? So they can feel that structure and support.
And what informed you what was the strong overriding feeling for you saying you wanted to be married before you had your children and you wanted them to have this structure?
Because how I grew up, it
right.
didn't have that. It had warmth and love,
yeah.
but it wasn't structured. You know, I've got a stepdad, wasn't married to my mum.
Right.
So
it wasn't certain. It wasn't
definite.
Yeah.
And I've seen with my dad and all that. I'm like, I know how many kids he's got out there. He's not structured. I don't want to be like that.
Right.
So I knew from experience the things I didn't want for when I do have my kids. So that kind of informed me to say, right, I want this for them to grow up into, so they feel that warmth, that love, and that structure. I think that's important.
And in terms of, I'm not trying to get into your personal business like that, but I'm just intrigued into, because obviously you was a footballer, and I know that from what I see, you know, footballers, you meet women certain places. Was it someone you knew?
Yeah, it was someone knew from schooling.
Okay, so it wasn't
family and stuff. So it wasn't like
it wasn't just
a shot in the dark in terms of just a nightclub, nothing like that.
Right,
someone I knew of. Knew the family from school and stuff. So, but yeah, that relationship broke down. Yeah, marriage broke down, divorced, and with that came different sets of issues and things to tackle and deal with, and still try and deal with it even to this day. Yeah. So, but it never, it didn't really put me off in terms of having that structured feeling. I still want that, still strive for that. That is my centre. That's my core. Yeah. I'm a Libran, so I need balance. Yeah. I need somewhere to put the balance and then pan out from it. So, but yeah, things broke down in that regard. My kids were, I think there was 11 and 8 at the time, which is a tricky age. Yeah,
because 11, you're talking from in my experience, 11's. I think, in my opinion, 11 is probably one of the biggest stages of a child's life, transitioning from primary to secondary, and the different influences, developmentally, the things that are changing for that young person. I think it's one of probably the most vital and the most vulnerable that our young people are at that age.
And I've seen that with my daughter, especially in terms of that transition. I had a few issues. And still probably does. I think there's still that sort of general trauma around us all through that process. Yeah. And it's not the kids to blame or anything. That's between two adults. Yeah. And that's where I feel that sort of sense of guilt as well and responsibility. But I've got to look at it and think, you know what? I'm still a good person. I'm still a good dad. I still mean well. Still want to be there and love them and support them, even though it's at a distance. But the worrying signs is that they're growing up. My son especially now is showing signs of like rebellion and anger and all this. Yeah. And I always say to him, I know he hates me saying it, he don't like me talking about my past as if that's irrelevant, but I said, look, I'm giving you what I never had. So can you tell me how many times have I walked you to school? Well, how many times you've woken up in the house with me and said good morning, good night? How many different things have we done? And I know he's angry at I don't do enough, but I said, if you had my dad, how angry would you be? Or how can you be so angry when you've got me as your dad that's gone through having my own dad and not having that sort of structure, but you've got this structure with me. I know you're angry at the breakdown, that's fine, but this sort of level of anger and all of that, so we've had to work through that. We've both personally gone to counselling through it, because at one stage I couldn't talk to him. Right. I didn't want to talk to him.
How old is he? No.
He'll be 18 next month.
Okay.
So he's young, but he's sharp, he's smart, he's got a little bit of a mouth in him, which is fine. Yeah. I've got to just keep it in the levels of respect and don't cross the line, even if it is your dad or another adult man.
Yeah, and I'm one for that as well. I've got no issues with my children expressing themselves. And young people in general, I just think that, you know, one should always have respect, not I'm your dad, respect me, but in general, respect people. Yeah. You know, I don't think respect, you know, I've heard people say that respect is earned. I don't agree with that. I think respect is a default position. You can lose respect for someone
very quick
by the way they behave, and you know, but I don't think that someone has to gain respect. I feel like it's something that should be given.
Yeah,
until
someone connection.
Yeah. So I mean, so you've done counselling with him. How's that been?
We've done it individually.
Okay.
I went for myself to learn about how I communicate
and how he might be feeling.
What I say, how does that sort of input into him? So if I'm saying you're wrong about something, or I'm putting myself as I know better, even I do. But how does he receive that? Yeah, he feels rebellious with what I say in terms of how I've said it.
Right.
So I had to learn to like change my language and tone, which changes the message into him.
Yeah. And what was it like accepting and that you should go to counselling? Because I mean,
that was my own decision. Because I was like my last tether sort of thing. I was like, love him to bits. I don't want to be a horrible father figure to him. I want to be the best I can be for him. So I said, I need to go. I need to work me out, because all my life I've had to work out my own problems. I haven't had anyone to kind of give me that guidance and support. I've had to always fix myself. So that was just a natural progression for me to like just ring up, and I found a wonderful lady out where I live and explained where I was at, and she kind of highlighted certain things about, I wasn't doing major wrong things, but it's just like,
little
think
things
about
that need
how you're saying that, what does that really tell him?
Yeah.
And I thought, ooh, as it goes, it's telling him he's wrong, I'm right, and just get on with it. So I thought, okay, let me rearrange the words, but to try and give him the same positive message, but just rearrange the words so he can take a bit more of that essence and use it better.
And I think it's so important that you come to that decision, because I one of the things I always say within my work to parents is that I feel like every parent, without exception, should evaluate their parenting.
There's no school or university for it.
And by and large, you're probably not fit for purpose in some degree, in some areas. And that's just because things have changed so much. So what could have been done 10 or 20 years ago cannot be done now.
Can't be done,
things have changed so much, so the way things are perceived, and things are, just political correctness and all different things, it's very different. And so I don't think that people need to change necessarily their morals and values, but I think you need to reconsider how we express ourselves.
Got to move with the times.
Yeah, and be more expressive, because we haven't, some of us haven't received the most nurturing love. We've received love, but not necessarily in a nurturing way. We know how to do tough love real good. But do we know how to do nurturing? And I think there needs to be a balance. And then you've got other people who are great nurturers but don't know how to do tough love. And I think being either end of the spectrum there's a danger.
That's why balance is a key word in anything. So
do you feel that his mum was supportive within that process of what had happened? And
the mum is an interesting topic. We don't talk. And I know that hurts the kids. This ain't on my doing. These are her words. Let this be the last message. So I'm like, cool, let's get on with it. But I know deep down that will hurt the kids. That your parents can't even talk.
It's not what you want, because your children, I'm sure, love you and they love their mum.
Both parents. They know they've got chalk and cheese.
Why should they have to pick a side?
And I've witnessed that. I've argued once before in front of them, and that's when I knew never do that again, because of the impact it had, especially on my daughter. Because I brought, with kids, it's gaining trust and keeping it. And I've had, from that experience, I've had to, like, even if it was a wrong experience of having a go at her in front of the kids and her having to go back at me, I saw the impact. I thought, this can't happen again. I brought something up that my daughter had said, and the way the mum looked at my daughter was like, nah, you said that, and I could see the fear crippled her.
Because they're bread buttered with their mum. And so
I said, like, whatever they say, and there's been a million things, believe it or not, that they've brought to me, but I've had to resist in saying, excuse me, this is going on. But I can't do it because they live with the mum. So I don't want to upset the way they live. Even though I'm boiling inside and I'm fuming at some of the stuff that goes on, and it still goes on to this day. But
What's the worst it's been? Have you ever been stopped seeing your children or anything like that? Okay.
No.
Cool.
But
just really the fact that you don't communicate well.
Yeah.
You don't communicate, and which
I think the worst thing is, and I've said to my kids, I said, look, when the time is right, I've got no problems in breaking down how and why it all broke down. I said I will put my hands up because I've made mistakes. Yeah. I said, but I'm not going to live from that moment in a lie to receive your love. I said, I can't talk for your mum. Yeah. I said, you live with your mum, you don't live with me. I see you as much as possible, and we do. But I think the worst aspect of it is the psychological effect on the kids. Yeah. In terms of where my son is at now, when I hear him speak, to me it's not him.
He's got baggage. He's got someone else's.
To me, it's his mum vocalizing
influence
through him.
Yeah.
And that's what hurts me and him. Yeah. Because we're tight. He
and
knows he can talk to me.
And it's really hard, I think, for parents, without, and I don't think you are trying to demonise her, but we're making sure that we're not demonising their mother. I think it's something that parents struggle with with actually just doing the right thing and not dishing dirt.
I'm one of those
and I guess it's easier as well, though. It probably would be easier for you, but I maybe not, because maybe you could assume the position that you hardly see them, so that when you do. And I don't mean hardly, but you see them less than her naturally. So when you do, you want to make sure you get your point across, and that's what happens sometimes with the parent that's absent.
I've had to stop.
Yeah, exactly.
Because it's like that's going to blow up into an argument.
It's poison. It's not going to.
And I don't want to be responsible.
Yeah.
I've always said I'll be truthful. I won't be around you and live a lie and tell you things to favour me. Yeah. Because I profit from that of nothing. I said. When the time's right for you and you want to ask me questions, I will be more than happy to sit and explain. Yeah. But as I said, I think the psychological aspects, I think it borders like mental abuse of kids.
I think it is abuse. I mean, like, obviously,
because if you're targeting them with misinformation and not the truth, and that child then. That manifesting that child into words and to actions against another parent.
It's emotional abuse. It is emotional abuse.
That's dangerous, and at times I've had to say, look, I'm just going to stay right out of your life, and you know where I'm at. Yeah. But I don't want to add to any more. And a lot of people might think, well, that's a cop out. I'm like, but I don't want to add any more pressure and weight to the young kids. Yeah. Because they need to grow. Like, for instance, my mum never had a go at my dad in front of me. And I don't even know if she did, not in my presence. Yeah. But my mum, she was one of those that she said, you know what, you'll grow up and you find out yourself. But she never put a bad word or said a bad word about him in front of me because she knows that's going to affect me. Yeah. So I've always kept that sort of moral standing is that try not to talk.
Influence,
and influence the children. But my argument to that is when the other side rears its head with misinformation, my natural position is to defend the truth and speak the truth, even if it is painful.
And then sometimes you get drawn into it.
I'll get drawn into it. So I'm like, let me just stay out of it. But I'm going to live by the truth. I'm not going to lie and falsify things. But I've got to give the kids a chance to see for themselves.
Yeah. And your stepdad too. What's that like? Would you agree with me that it's very different to actually being a father? And I think everyone's experiences are different. I'm a stepfather as well, but I found that it is a little bit different to being a father.
Well, mine, he passed 3 years ago now, but he was still a big influence. Yeah. Even though we had a few little issues as adults, or me as an adult, but the general foundation that he set for me, those were life skills that I'll always keep. Yeah. Because he instilled those from a very early age, and I was always by his side watching things, listening to things and taking on board. You know, I mean, he was his own little character as well, but I didn't take on board that. But I took on board what he showed me in the home. Yeah, that I can see that, and even little things at home now, I can still hear him and sort of be guided by those sort of ways. those life skills that he showed, and I'll give that to the kids I got now. So he was important, and it is for me now as a stepdad as well. That's a funny dynamic because I look at him as my son as well. I treat him just like my son. We've got a good relationship. He knows he can come and talk to me. I've got that tough love and that sort of nurturing as well. But I give space to say, right, look, you do this, you do that. There's consequences on both sides, but let it just affect you. Yeah. As long as it don't affect me, I'm cool. But if it just affects you, I'm like, great.
You learn your lesson.
You have to learn. I'm not going to be telling you every step of the way. I've got to let nature and the environment teach you from your cause and effect within it. Yeah. So I'm learning every day about being like a step parent, still learning to be a parent for my own kids as well. Yeah. I don't think you can ever stop. And I don't just put a ceiling on my sort of learning as an individual. I'm always looking to grow no matter what it is. Yeah. So I'm open. And I was really pleased and proud that my son took up the courage to say, I want to go and get some counselling, and he did. Yeah,
I think that's at his age. Yeah, that's a massive step. Difficult. It's a massive step, but and they're very difficult.
He got on really well with the lady. Yeah. I think they're still in touch now with emails and that, which is good. Yeah.
And you definitely saw the improvement. And
yeah, we got on really well for I would say a good year and a half. Yeah.
And I guess being able to just tell each other how you feel is the main thing.
Yeah, but they're still
baggage.
They're still not out of the woods.
Yeah.
As a father and son, there's still some heavy stuff to deal with. Yeah. But as I said, he's getting older. He's 17, nearly 18. Yeah. He's forming his own opinions. He's turning into a man himself.
And he'll start to learn a bit more and have a better understanding. Give him that space. He's got to have that time to get the understanding. Yeah. Okay, all right. We're gonna pop off for another break now, and we'll be back on the other side. We'll be talking about what you're doing now in your career and things like that.
Have you been denied access to your child? Or is the time you get to spend with your child dependent on the quality of relationship you have with their mother? Here at Father Figure Children and Family Services, we want to support fathers to maximize their role within the lives of their children by supporting them to regain contact with children whom they have been unjustly denied access to. On average, a family lawyer will cost anything from £250 per hour. However, we offer a court advocacy support service which operates at a fraction of the price with an even more personalized service. We will not only guide and support you every step of the way, but we also provide parental coaching as and when necessary. We'll fill in the forms, write position statements for court, attend court, as well as negotiate with a respondent solicitor. We believe that our 100% success rate of re-establishing contact between fathers and children is due to our ethos, which views the child as the client. You don't just pick us, we choose you too. If you'd like support establishing contact with your child, visit our book online page at www.fatherfigure.org.uk and book yourself a free consultation now. That's www.fatherfigure.org.uk.
Right, welcome back. We're here with Marcus Gayle, ex-professional footballer, and we've just been talking about family. We're going to now start to talk a bit more about what you're doing now in your career. But before we get into that, something I didn't know is that you actually did a bit of managing for Staines-Town, is it?
Yeah, Staines-Town.
Was it 2 seasons? Was it
two and a half.
Yeah.
So I was in my 3rd season before I got
the chop.
The
dreaded chop.
The neck is rolling.
So tell me a bit about that in terms of why you not still pursuing management. Did you not enjoy it, or do you feel like your hand was kind of forced? You looked at. I mean, let's make no bones about it. It's not a level playing field out there for black managers.
No.
Although it doesn't seem as though it is. You might be able to tell me different and more.
My experience was. It was a good experience. I started at AFC Wimbledon with development squad. So my job entailed taking youth team players, getting them into my development squad to produce them for the first team. That first team was always getting promoted, so the gap was always getting bigger. So my job was getting harder and harder, but I was still being able to produce players. The season that my final season at AFC Wimbledon, I had 5 players signed pro at Christmas.
Wow.
But 6 months down the road, I ain't got no job.
You got a team.
I don't have no job. So I was like, how does that work out? So I was like, I started hearing rumours that they're getting rid of my squad. I was an influence at the club in terms of professional player. The first team management consisted of a part-time taxi driver, part-time bailiff, and a non-league legend of a manager. So 2 days of the week he would be on his own with the fitness coach, but he wouldn't see sense to say, Marcus, come up here and help me with these boys. The players were always wanting me to come up there, but I wouldn't invite myself. I would say, look, I would love to help work with you 1v1, but I can't invite myself to that party because I'm not being invited.
Yeah.
I've got my own group and I'm doing very well with my group. One of which is still playing professional football now, and he signed 9 years ago.
Right.
As a pro. Well, 9 years ago, yeah. A kid called Ryan Jackson, who's Colchester United.
Yeah.
He was my first one, and he's still playing now, which is really good. So I knew I could make an impact just by how I was having conversations with the players. It weren't tactics. It was probably 10% tactics and 90% just life.
Yeah. And
finding out what makes them tick. So I was quite good at what motivates them and what makes them tick. How do they interpret what I'm saying through life skills and then incorporate it into football. So that was my sort of skill.
Right.
And I took that on into Stainstown, had a young team because I wanted to give those youngsters that hope that there is a coach that backs young players, because I was surrounded by players that said, he only plays old players, like Mourinho.
Yeah.
They don't like him because he never gives us a chance. How am I supposed to get experience if you don't give me the opportunity?
Yeah.
So I was hearing all this all the time. So when I moved to Staines, I said, right, the average age of my squad is going to be 19 years of age or 20. And that's what happened. We stayed up. The second season, we had a brilliant season, finished, I think, 6 points from the playoffs at Conference South. FA Cup run, the lot. And then the third year, I improved the squad. It's weird, but we just couldn't get out of this run of losing matches.
Right.
So I think after about 9 games, they made a decision. I was like, hey, so be it. My ambitions with it was, I didn't want non-league football. I didn't want to be associated with non-league football, but I took the opportunity to work in there to see if I can do it. I know I can do it.
Yeah.
The impact from it was, didn't like football for a while. Didn't even want to watch a match. My missus, she got me back into it by saying, let's go to a game. It took months for me to go back to the game. That spat me out. But I'm not going back into management, not through lack of opportunity or fear of that.
Okay.
I'm just saying, I don't want to be in a system where I'm going to be bottom of the queue and I don't know how long I'm going to be there.
Yeah.
I said, why am I going to waste 4 or 5 years waiting in this queue when people are leapfrogging?
Constantly.
I said, I might as well use my time more wisely and be an impact now.
Yeah.
So that's what
That's the decision you made.
Yeah, I want to make an impact now with the work I do.
Yeah.
With Kick It Out and other organisations, because I know I'm making a big impact with them now.
So tell us about Kick It Out.
So Kick It Out is a charity. It's sponsored by PFA, Premier League, Football League. My role is as a tutor, and I go around with a good man called Troy Townsend,
which is
Andros Townsend's dad.
Yep.
So he's the educational manager. So he's put together some slides and information that we show the young players about racism. Is it still around today? So we kind of refresh that and get some latest topics in there to keep it relevant.
And just to stick a pin, I imagine you've got a load of new material.
Yeah,
with
new content.
What's just happened with Raheem,
the last month has been
with Aubameyang.
Yeah.
Kubalai over in Napoli and Italy.
Yeah, that will come up.
Yeah. So you guys will incorporate that into your material and speak about that with the and what age group are you?
We talk from under 10s up to under 23s.
Right.
We do workshops for parents and the staff because they circle that unique player.
Yeah.
So no point just talking to the player and the coach, and then you got the mum and dad outside, and where's their support? So we incorporate them as well, which is quite helpful for both sides of it, to offer support. But we talk on social media aspects.
Yeah.
music's massive as well, and you think, why we talk about music? But it's the lyrical content of the music they're playing out.
Yeah.
In the changing room.
In the changing room, yeah.
Could be out publicly or wherever it is.
Yeah.
And the implications of it could lead to a prosecution. So we break down certain lyrics in the genres like grime and all. We ask them.
Do you know what's
it's not us just like throwing it at them like, this is what we want to talk about.
Yeah.
We base the sessions on the answers we get from the players.
Right.
So you might think grime's just a London thing. I'll tell you one thing, grime is a northeast thing as well. The first genre they will hit off the bat is grime. Right. And I was shocked when I first heard it. Really? I thought that was a London sound. No. Grime is all over the place.
The country.
So it's just allowing them to be aware of the consequences of using certain language in and around football. The perception from the outside world about them.
Yeah.
Does this sort of genre of music define who they really are?
Yeah.
And it doesn't, but they'll eat it. They'll lap it up. But it doesn't mean they're going to get into this crime scene of events and gang culture. But clubs are wary of grime because of what it can bring with players that might have members of the family or friends that are into that. They don't want to see all that sort of culture creeping into the players' lounge and in there, and so a lot of awareness needs to be made in that. But I've been doing it. It becomes the 3 years in March. It's very rewarding in terms of you get to speak with players, not at them but with them. We keep it very low key and relaxed. That's our approach. And we've built up a lot of trust with the players as well. We don't go back and report them out, this club. We build up trust. We offer outside of the club sort of support. If they want to follow us or on Instagram or whatever it is and ask a question. So in between those sessions, I do a lot of like just reading and studying and a lot of YouTube watching as well. So I do choose to listen to the music to find out what is behind it, so I can break it down to them. I look at the historical nature of racism and getting really deep into that. So if one player does ask a quirky question, I'm in a position to give him an answer or say, look, check out this source or reference it through this way. So they're not sort of left with no answers at all.
And how do you feel that football is dealing with racism in terms of, I say football, the FA?
To me, it's not enough in terms of the punishment, the sanctions. It's a slap on the wrist at the moment, instead of it needing to be a lot more heavier.
And why do you think that is?
Why I think that is, good question. They don't take it as serious. I think historically, for me, from what I read and understand and my own walk of life, is that if you're black, you're not taken seriously. You're looked upon as, your family were slaves. That was your place in this world. And I think that mentality, that colonial mentality, is rife. You've got people that are 70 years and older, still with that mentality.
And they're at the top of these organisations.
Well, you can look at Trump. I know he's not a footballer, but Trump, for his age, he's got that 1960s mentality, and you can tell what's happened in America in the 1960s, the civil rights and that. He was a young man in that. So for him, it was normal if he saw a black man being attacked by Alsatian.
Which was when America was great.
Well, that's what they want to get back to. But here in the established game, it's still got that flavour to it. It's still got that old colonial mentality. And it's very hard to just physically prove it, but you can see things by the message.
So good to move on to. We look at the Raheem Sterling incident recently, and I think it felt. I mean, it's died down now, but it felt like a bit of a. For me, it felt like a bit of a shift in terms of a current player doing really well at the top of his game. I said, hold on a minute, nah, I'm not having this, and he's really actually given them really something tangible to say, listen, look at what you're doing. And it felt different. It felt like something I've not experienced. We've seen things. I think John Barnes speaks really eloquent on the subject, because he talks about it not being a football problem. It's a societal problem, and he's perfectly right on that. But also John Barnes is he's not currently in the game, and I'm not saying he's not influential. He's the reason why I support Liverpool. So he's, I'm sure he is influential for a lot of people. But Raheem Sterling he's in the game. He's playing now. He plays for England. He's playing for the top team in this country, and he said no, enough's enough, and he's put it out there. And he's put a very tangible scenario in front of people for people to look at, and I think it feels like people are uncomfortable with it, because I feel that it is racism, but it's not necessarily malicious racism, as in those guys who were shouting at him. In my opinion, I'm less concerned with guys like that, because you're stupid, really. It's a bit ignorance. I'm more concerned with the people who might be managing you and be able to affect your healthcare, your housing, your the next paycheck. Who have those views.
You said that as well. I've got this book by a lady called Dr. Joy DeGruy.
I've got that book.
She asks a question: how does white racism affect black people, and then how does black racism affect white people?
And it doesn't. Essentially, in my opinion, black people cannot really be racist. We can be prejudiced, and because racism comes with power.
It does, but
so I understand the concept, but essentially we don't stop people getting bank loans.
But with Raheem, I think what he's done with that statement, he's empowered the young generations to speak up. And we're finding there is a shift with young players now, even with the work we're doing. We're empowering them not just to sit there and take or notice something that's not right and then don't say anything. They're trying to empower them to say, hey, if it's not right, if you're not happy about it, speak up.
Because it has felt for years that black footballers haven't done that.
And I can understand that, because I was part of that system growing up.
Of course.
When you ain't got no backing, no support,
you keep your mouth shut and you crack on.
You got no parent backing or support.
No.
Ain't the manager's favourite or whatever.
No.
You ain't got no support compared to your teammates who have got a lot of support. You look at Harry Kane, for example. That boy, if he can't stay a success, then something's really wrong with him, because he's been given so much opportunity to be as good as he can be. He's just been given an OBE at 25
for going and losing the World Cup.
He could have squared the ball to Raheem Sterling, could have been in the final. But he's been given so much more. What's the word? You got that word, privilege and opportunity. If that was Raheem now, no chance. But he's empowered the next generation to actually speak up and highlight.
And it feels like to be themselves. Because I feel like, Raheem's from my area.
He's from around there, isn't he?
Raheem is Raheem. He's Raheem. And I feel like 20 years ago, he wouldn't still be Raheem.
No.
Do you understand what I mean? And I understand why.
That would have been beaten out of him.
Of course.
In terms of training. Because that was the normal culture. Doesn't mean it was acceptable.
No.
I saw things I didn't agree with, but I would frown and people would know, he ain't happy with that. I weren't ready to speak up about it. I was like, I need to take care of my football career first.
You got to look at what you might lose.
I'll deal with it. But I've seen it at clubs where if you talk out, I've seen it at one of my old clubs. There was a racist incident. I weren't part of it. I wasn't around at the time, but it came back to me. I was like, these players, you didn't roll up your hand and black up his eye and let him wake up sober in the morning to think, what happened to my face? Because you use a racist term on players. I know that's not the right approach, but those players were released not long after that. Within a year, they was gone, and the person that was the perpetrator, he's still there at the club. So I'm like, I can understand where the players are, even though I was angry because I'm obviously a lot older than them, but they're still trying to make their way in the game. They haven't got the power or the support or the backing yet. But if they did speak out, they would have definitely had my backing, because the club knew my stance on it, and I was calling them out on it. So it's no surprise why I had to probably come out of it, because I'm an influencer. I ain't one to sit around at my age and just say, oh, that's fine. Because I challenged them on a few little topics regarding young black players. I was like, it's not right. So it's different now, because the players it's not a cop out for the previous generations, but those previous generations didn't have that power. every game mattered. Every goal scored or clean sheet bonus mattered.
Yeah.
Compared to today, where if he makes up noise and they say, right, you ain't playing again.
If he retires now, he's alright.
He can retire.
Yeah.
But the previous generation,
couldn't have done that.
They needed that goal bonus. They needed bills to be paid, and that's a massive shift in the way the game's gone. So I think we need to encourage the players to speak up, make a stance while you're playing.
Yeah.
Because it's going to encourage even more to say, look, there's more weight to the argument now, instead of isolating it all the time, which is easy to fight against. But if it's a collective effort, that will make a big point. But the game, John Barnes, he sums it up better than most out there.
Yeah.
He's very articulate, and you think, someone's so sharp and can't get into the game. And then you got silly guys that can't even talk properly. They're on TV, they're on radio,
but then it tells you exactly why. We know that there's more to it. What just on a final note, what advice would you give to young players and parents of young players, potentially looking at carving themselves a career in football?
I'll start with the parents first. I'll say, don't let your son or daughter just be overtaken with the club. Always remain their parent, just in case. Football's it's a blessing. It's a fantasy as well. It may happen, it may not. But the one thing you got to guarantee is that you're still that parent, no matter what they go through, thick or thin, win or lose. You're still their parent. And for the young players, with the parents as well, go and support them. Yeah. Go and support them. If I had,
be part of it.
If I had to go back and say to my parents, I would say, come and support me. Hopefully they'll see this, and it might spark a few conversations. And really, he feels like that. Give you a classic example. As a kid, I was about 25, 26, playing for Wimbledon. I invited my mum to a Wimbledon game at Selhurst Park, and I share this with the parents that we talk to as well. So the player still knows where you are on the pitch, even though he's playing.
He knows where you're sitting.
Knows where you are. They're looking for your reactions, if it's like Sunday morning or whatever. But there's me in a Premier League match, and I'm looking at my mum's seats. The seats are empty. Wow. And I said to her after, she goes, you played well. I went, yeah. I goes, it's good thing I didn't score in the first 20 minutes. And she went, what do you mean? I goes, well, you wouldn't have seen it, because you weren't there. So I share this to parents to say, there's me at my age, just being a kid playing football, and I'm still looking to please my mum that's in the crowd, and she ain't there. But that affected me, not in a negative, but I was aware of, she's not there. I shouldn't be looking in the crowd. I was supposed to be looking about my job on the pitch. Yeah,
and that doesn't matter what level you play at.
Doesn't matter what age.
Because I've seen my son looking for me.
They look for that reassurance.
It's
okay.
I've seen it.
I've messed up. And they'll pick up on body language, and that will tell them another story. So I'm no different. Yeah. So, but as a player, give it your all. Back yourself up with education as well. Try and stay humble. No, not try and stay humble. Don't try it. Yeah. Like the Nike slogan says, just do it. It doesn't say just try it. It says do it. So stay humble. Yeah. Enjoy it. Learn as much, because the places I've been and played football, it's taken me to living in Scandinavia for 6 months at 19, and that helped shape my life skills as well. As a young man growing up, having to fend for myself, take responsibility. These are positive things that you can get from the game, but try and give it back as well. Try and share and interact with fans, interact with people around it, network like crazy, because the game is quick, it's gone before you realise it. So I've had a brilliant time with it. Yeah. Now it's for the second phase of life. People, they love an Instagram post with me at football. They love that more than anything. If I put something about humanitarian stuff, it's it doesn't take so much volume. And I'm like, I'm going to change that this year. Yeah. Because that's the real me as well. Yeah. That real me was just good at playing football. Yeah. That you all recognise. But I want you to be more impressed with this side of me. Yeah. And what I can bring as a human being.
Thank you very much, Marcus. It's been a pleasure having you in my kitchen.
It's a nice kitchen, by the way.
Thank you very much. As I said, all my wife, and you're about to get lunch, courtesy of her.
Can't go wrong.
Thank you very much.
Thanks for having me.
All the best.
Thank you.
Thank you for listening to the Fathers Matter 2 podcast with your host, David Mullings. Sponsored by Port Royal Paddies and Father Figure Children and Family Services. Keep checking in as we will be regularly releasing new episodes. Fathers Matter 2.